No FOPO is no fear of people's opinion. If I am nervous to do something, I'm like, okay, no FOPO. As small as I'm going to dance in my car. Okay, no FOPO. But at a bigger scale, standing up takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of bravery. How can we do that? But also have no FOPO when some people disagree with you.
This is Spirit of Sport with Georgia McKee
and Kelsey Davis.
Join us as we explore the spiritual life, leadership, and sports. Our hope is to offer bread for your journey, wherever you are.
In this episode, we're talking to our friend Katie. Katie is a community engagement leader for the West region at the Side Out Foundation, where she's helping to drive impact through volleyball and service. Before joining Side Out, Katie was the director of volleyball operations at the University of San Diego, leading community engagement efforts and helping guide the Toreros to a historic Final Four run.
When you hear the words volleyball in San Diego, your mind might cross over to the story that's been in the news a lot lately regarding the trans athlete at San Jose State University, a school in Katie's former conference. In today's conversation, Katie talks about a time when she was interviewed by the media about her position on the athlete's eligibility, and it's one that you don't want to miss.
Katie's volleyball journey is nothing short of remarkable. She was a standout All-American setter at Colorado State University, where she broke the school's career assist record with over 5,000 assists, earned Mountain West Player of the Year honors 3 years in a row, and served as team captain. After college, she played professionally in Switzerland and represented the USA Collegiate Women's National Team, winning the Global Challenge tournament.
But Katie's impact goes beyond the court. As an out queer athlete and coach, she's been a powerful advocate for inclusion and belonging in sports, working to create safe and affirming spaces for all athletes. She's passionate about giving back to the volleyball community, having played in Dig Pink matches as a youth and collegiate athlete, and now she's helping lead those efforts for the next generation.
I know that I left our conversation more hopeful and inspired, and we'll get into our conversation right after this.
I'm Starlette Thomas, Director of the Raceless Gospel Initiative at Good Faith Media. The Raceless Gospel is a proclamation of somebodyness for souls weary of white supremacist notions of human being and belonging. The Raceless Gospel calls us back to the interior self by way of water. We've got books, ongoing seasons of the podcast, study guides, webinars, and plenty more. I'm Starlette Thomas, the gospel is raceless, and Good Faith Media is telling it. Learn more at goodfaithmedia.org.
Katie, welcome to Season 2 of Spirit of Sport. We're so excited to have you today.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Let's jump right in. Katie, you have been a part of the athletic community for a while now, and you faced moments where the stakes are high on the field and in society. Can you share a time with us when you had to take a stand in the face of injustice and how you found the courage to act in that moment?
Such a good question. So a little bit about me. I'm a former volleyball player. And so I don't know if y'all remember back in November of this volleyball season, there was a huge controversy when a trans athlete was playing in the Mountain West against other Mountain West teams. Now, I went to Colorado State University, so proud alumni, and CSU was one of the only teams to not forfeit against San Jose State, who had the trans athlete. And on a random Wednesday during the middle of the week, I got a call. In my job, I get a lot of calls, throughout the day. So I answer. And it was a reporter asking me on my opinion about the situation. And, it's a highly controversial topic and things like that. So I didn't give an immediate yes, but I hung up. And this is where the courage part comes in. I prayed on it. I talked to my people. I sat on it. And I really thought, do I want to do this? Do I want to stand up for this trans athlete? Do I want to talk about how proud I was of CSU for playing? And it was a big risk, but everything was telling me, yes, do it. You are going to regret for me, it was I'm going to regret if I'm not on the right side of history, or what I think is the right side of history, which is leading with love and empathy and, just meeting people where they're at and spreading that message. Because during this time, there were a lot of people who were not doing that. They were leading with hate and they were judgmental. And so I did not, and I still do not. I'm not an expert on this topic, right? So I had to do my research. I had to look up NCAA legislation. And kind of my take on it was I'm just, a normal person who used to play sport, who wants it to be a more inclusive environment. And so I did the interview and, I found courage by leaning on like my partner and some folks even from our church. I go to a very progressive church, which I'm very grateful for, and I knew I would get some backlash. And when it was posted, I there were a few days where I like didn't look at my social media, right? I was a little scared, but at the end of the day, I knew that I had the community that I had and I could lean on people around me to kind of bring me through that moment. And I'm really glad I did that because it stretched me out of my comfort zone. So yeah, good question.
I really appreciate your naming of a couple of things that I heard. One, letting yourself have time to process and to pause, to really intentionally consider what is this invitation in front of me? How do I want to respond? And then also, yeah, getting your people around you as well to lean on and I would assume like have some conversation with to process with as well. So I'm curious, Katie, if you can share a little bit more about community and what it means to find, like, how have you found your people and community? You were an athlete and you were a collegiate coach, and so now that you've moved through those phases, how do you find community now, and have those supportive relationships to lean on? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, community is huge for me, and also I'm working a remote job right now. So it's been a little bit harder because when I was in athletics, you have a built-in community. You have your team, you have your coaching staff. And so for me, my community here, and I'm lucky that in San Diego, I'm in a very progressive area. My community is primarily through church. It's Normal Heights United. It's a Methodist church, and specifically when it comes to people to lean on for situations like this where I'm like going out of my comfort zone, I don't know how it's going to go. Like you said, I'm sitting on it, I'm asking for advice from folks. I found that I went to some of those peers, and a lot of them are queer too, so that helps. Because they could understand, and we even have some trans folks in our church, so I could really sit down and be real with them of like, hey, I don't know a ton about this, I don't want to tokenize you, but do you mind, this is what I'm reading up on, this is what I'm hearing, like what's your perspective? That's why I just believe in diversifying your community too, because if we don't diversify our communities, we can't get those broad perspectives. So that's something that I'm really intentional with out here, especially being remote. And yeah, I'm grateful that I still have those people, but I'm always continuing to expand my community. And online platforms like this. Like this is great. Or people through Instagram. Like some folks don't live in a San Diego where you can go down the street to like a really affirming space. So how can you find it when you might be a little more isolated online?
That inspires me, to continue to think of what are the different avenues for which community is built. Is it in person? Is it locally? Is it online? Because you're exactly right, Katie. I think with intention, we can create those connections in a myriad of ways. And I'm curious too, in terms of your faith, your spiritual life, your leadership, on and off the court. What are your core values that you live by? And especially in the midst of tension or divisive times, how do you stay grounded in your values?
Yeah, I think it's so important to even this question I was reflecting, I'm like, it's so important to know our core values so you can always stick to it when things come our way, obstacles. I always want to lead with love. And another adjective I thought of too was curiosity, because so often we forget like we don't know everything, right? And why don't we just be curious? And when I say we, I mean like society. Like if someone wants to do something and be some certain way, let's just lean in, let's ask some questions. Why do you want to do this? Why are you this way? When it comes to all different viewpoints, those two combined, like just a lens of curiosity and love, is something that I always want to be in my core values. And then also empathy. I think especially in the coaching world, that was a little bit hard for me because you want like people to, it's hard to be empathetic because as a player, I was so intense. And so now that I'm out of the coaching world and I do a lot of work right now with people, coaches who are doing fundraising for breast cancer, it's really helped me just meet them where they're at and be empathetic for their situation. And when it comes to being grounded, once again, Kelsey, you mentioned intention. I have them next to me. I have these intention cards, and I will in the morning, I'm like, okay, what's meant for me today? And I'll choose one. And the other day mine was intention. And it was like, okay, what are you going to accomplish today? How are you going to, go about your day? Mine this morning actually was dance. I am in flow with my work and life. That's great. So that's one way I stay grounded is by actually using these resources, these cards, podcasts, prayer, meditation apps. And I find when I don't do that, I am like way more high stress. And, when I'm mindlessly scrolling or I'm just, once again, I'm remote. So I'm just going through my email and I'm stressed. I'm like, oh my gosh, did I do my breathing today? Did I pick a card? And so, yeah, those two kind of go hand in hand for me is leading with curiosity and love and then staying grounded by making sure that I feel good and I'm in a groove. And I feel like self care is so important, especially in the climate we're in.
Katie, I'm curious now that you're kind of out of this athlete coach world. I mean, you're still in the athletic world, but now you kind of have a different perspective, a different view. What do you think is the risk to coaches and athletes if we lose this sense of leading with curiosity and love? What's on the line here?
Oof, that's good. There's so much. I mean, you're risking you can harm a lot of people, I feel like, when you're in these leadership positions, because you have a lot of influence. And so the risk may seem small for, one person. Oh, maybe I'm not curious, or maybe I am throwing this player to the side, or I'm not asking, why she needs a mental health day. But that can take a toll on that individual human's life, but also on the culture of your team. I think I'm actually gonna talk about this in relation to my job of why it's so important for them to find their why because I mean, you both know it in athletics, it's like on to the next, how are we winning? And if you just reset and be like, why am I here? Like a lot of coaches are going to say they're here to be a leader for their young players, to make a better generation. And when that goes out the door, it's risky because your priorities are shifted, right? They're on, I would say, the wrong things. And it's easy for that to go out the door. You're so busy. So I would just encourage people who are still in the coaching world or playing to really lead with that curiosity, and it probably will tie back to why they're there. Even as a teammate, I was like, I want to be the best teammate I can be. And if that means helping my teammate with like a Black Lives Matter movement, or that means doing this, things off the court, then that's directly leading back to my why. So yeah, we're in a tough time where I think that gets lost, especially with NIL and all that these things now. It's like money or wins. And I think the why behind it is still really important.
The why, the values, being rooted in those things, and then rooted in a sense of people too. You've spoken to a community as well. And I think getting clear about those things and getting clear about who my people are, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and then what values do I have? What are the lenses by which I'm making decisions and moving through the world intentionally are huge, Katie. And it's, at least from my standpoint, it's also like lifelong work. Like we sort of iterate those things, and I think being able to take time to pause to check back in with ourselves and kind of re-up as well is so important. So I'm hearing that for myself of homework I need to do is re-up as well. And I'm curious too that as some of our athletes, some of our coaches are maybe listening to this and starting to think or have been thinking about their why and their call. And maybe part of that why is that they want to be change makers. They want to have a positive impact. And what would your wisdom be to, this generation, the next generation of athletes, of coaches who want to make real change, but are not sure where to even start?
Oh, that's tough because I know a lot of people are in that position. I mean, even you said re-up, like re-up our why. I'm feeling energized right now. But I the things that were going through my mind when you were talking, Kelsey, was bravery, like be brave. And this phrase that I've actually adopted kind of into my life, which is no FOPO. It was actually I don't want to mess his name up, but Dr. Michael Gervais, who's like a good sports psych. No FOPO is no fear of people's opinion. And so if I am nervous to do something, I'm like, okay, no FOPO. As small as pick, I don't know, something at the grocery store or doing something just tiny. Okay, no FOPO. I'm gonna dance in my car. Okay, no FOPO. But at a bigger scale, right? Like standing up takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of bravery. How can we do that? And like you said, lean on our people to do that, but also have no FOPO when some people disagree with you. Like it takes a lot of courage to do that. And an example that I can think of too is when I was at USD, I had a pride flag on my desk, and one day it was gone, and I was pissed, and I thought someone stole it. Like that was my narrative, and whether that happened or not, I'm going with that. The next day, I came in and I put an even bigger pride flag on my desk, like 4 times the size. And for me, that was my like no FOPO moment of leaning into bravery, but it was really small. So I guess just some wisdom I would offer is lean on your community. Know that there may be some backlash, but know that your community, your faith, your why, it'll prevail among all the noise around us, right? I feel like sometimes the people who are the meanest are the loudest, but really when you look at society and you just look around, you're like, there's so many good people around. And I think that's, I don't know, that gives me a lot of hope. And I hope it gives other people hope too, because it's not easy, but there's also people before us who've paved the way. Whatever the issues are that you want to be an activist for, advocate for, there's people who have done it before us. So that even gives me some courage too.
I think this is my new favorite phrase, no FOPO.
It's a good one.
You might see me getting a tattoo tomorrow night with no FOPO across my bicep. That's awesome. Well, Katie, I hear a deep love for your community and for this world and what you've shared with us, and really appreciate your wisdom. We've started this thing this season. At the end of our podcast, as we wrap up, we do a little rapid response. And so we've got 3 questions to wrap up our time together. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
If you could have any career besides what you're doing, what would you do?
I think I would be a travel blogger.
Awesome.
Yep.
I could totally see that in you. Okay, recommend something to watch, read, or listen to.
Okay, watch. Right now I'm watching The Resident, the good little Netflix series. Yep. I'm gonna do all of them. Read. I'm looking at my bookshelf. The End of Bias. Very heavy book, very good. Taken a while for me to get through it. And listen to the new podcast with Michelle Obama and her brother, IMO.
Amazing. Okay, this one is a fill in the blank. The world needs.
More kindness.
Hmm.
The world needs more kindness, indeed, Katie. And you are a living example of somebody who exudes kindness, compassion, and just goodness wherever you land and wherever you are. So we are so incredibly grateful for your sharing of your time and your wisdom and your stories with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm grateful for both of you and the impact you're making, on the sports world and just in general. It really does make a difference. So thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Thank you to our producer, James Franklin, and to Jay Ragsdale, who created our theme music. We are so grateful for the financial support that makes Spirit of Sport podcast possible. Special thanks to the Center for Contemplative Justice, Good Faith Media, Episcopal Church Foundation of Western North Carolina, the Episcopal Diocese of Western North Carolina, and donors like you. Spirit of Sport podcast is a ministry of Christian Athlete Circles. If you love this content, sign up for our devotional, The Weekly Huddle, on our website, christianathletecircles.org, and follow us on Instagram. And if you liked this episode, do us a favor. Leave us a rating and share it with your community. Peace and love, y'all.